All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Patrick Finn. I'm a vice president at Barcodes Inc., and I'll be your host today. I'm really excited to have two partners joining our call today, Jason Lum from Locus Robotics and Eric Hilton from Zebra Technologies. First, I want to thank all of you for joining our Modex 2020 recap today. Because of the timing of the Modex trade show and the trajectory of the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of exhibitors and attendees had to cancel plans to attend the show. So appreciate you joining us today for a recap of what we learned in Atlanta this year. Barcodes Inc. did attend an exhibit at Modex, and we want to take a few minutes this morning to cover some of the overarching themes we saw at the show, to dig deeper into a couple of categories that were really prevalent this year at Modex. So here's a quick agenda of the topics we plan to cover today. We'll talk briefly about cold chain trends and a couple of announcements that were made at the show in that category. Talk about wearable technology and robotics. And on those last two topics, we'll dive deeper and explore the Locus Robotics solutions and the Zebra HD 4000 and Fulfillment Edge solution. There's a Q&A chat box at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Feel free to type in questions at any time. We'll handle Q&A at the end of the webinar today. So on to Modex. So if you missed the event, you missed a couple of keynote addresses, including one from Nikki Haley, the former governor of South Carolina and ambassador to the United Nations, and a really entertaining keynote, especially for sports fans, that included Archie and Peyton Manning. And one key takeaway from that talk was Peyton's observation that continuing to learn is key to success. If you think about why we attend these industry events, it's to continue our learning, and that's why you're on the call today. So I thought that was a pretty cool parallel that Peyton drew between what we were there to accomplish and what really guided him throughout his career. So one hot topic that we saw covered quite extensively at Modex was cold chain. And with the growth in e-commerce, there's also been an increase in online grocery shopping, and even before the effects of COVID-19. With COVID, it's even more prevalent, but that transformation in online grocery delivery requires a different set of cold chain capabilities, and we saw a couple of major players make moves to enhance those capabilities this year at Modex. There were a couple of announcements in this area, included the acquisition of Anthem Logistics by Blue Grace, and that was done specifically to expand refrigerated truckload capacity, and a new partnership between Twinload and Corber Supply Chain, which HighJump's a part of. And that new partnership is also focused on expanding cold chain capability. So another area where we saw a lot of innovation was the area of wearable technology. Wearable scanners, wearable computers have been around for a while, but both were being shown at Modex in new form factors and with new capabilities. When you used to think about hands-free in a warehouse, you'd think about voice technology, but there's now a lot of other technologies that fit into the hands-free category. Scan ranges are getting longer in wearable scanning, form factors are getting smaller. The biggest innovation we saw in wearable technology this year was definitely the Zebra HD 4000 head-mounted display, which you'll hear a lot more about from Eric in a few minutes. Finally, let's talk about robotics. It was impossible to walk through Modex 2020 and not notice how prevalent robotics were at the show. It almost looked like an exclusively robotics show in some areas. There are a lot of innovations in this category, including full pallet transporters, even fully automated robots that can autonomously unload a full trailer. One of the key trends in this industry for sure is interoperability and collaboration with other warehouse technologies. It's more clear now than ever that with robotic solutions, the purpose isn't to replace people, it's to make people more productive. So we're seeing integration of robotic workflows with barcode scanning, pick to light, voice systems, even vision. E-commerce and customer expectations are driving the need for warehouse efficiency. Robotics are and will continue to be a big driver of efficiency gains in the warehouse. So moving on to our guests today from Locus and Zebra. Not only are Locus and Zebra great partners of our company, Barcodes Inc., but they're also co-collaborators. In fact, last year, Zebra Ventures made a strategic investment in Locus, and now we'll find out from our friend Jason Lum at Locus exactly what got Zebra interested to invest, what got Barcodes interested to partner, and what gets our customers interested to deploy Locus Robotics. Jason.
That is a great segue, Pat. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys inviting me onto this this webinar. So thank you so very much. Welcome everyone. Barcodes is a wonderful partner. We love working with these guys. One of the biggest things I've been talking with the Zebra team was, and they keep on saying robots are cool, and robots are cool, but the biggest thing is when it comes down to robots is that we've got to have a mission, and it really comes down to the thought of how can we do and drive ROI through the supply chain process. And when it comes to what and how we at Locus can drive it, we really hit the first four. When it comes down to hiring, training, working with new SLAs. Oh my gosh, in my old days, 10, 15 years ago, it was okay to have a 2-week ship time on a product. Now, if my wife doesn't get something within a day, 2 days, there's bad things happening at the Lum house. So new demands are being made, and in the way that warehousers are taking that next step is utilizing AMRs, autonomous robots in their facility. So got a great little video that will explain a tremendous amount of the actual design of the Locus solution. So please enjoy. This is a 2-minute long video, and it's one of those things where I think it's going to be insightful.
You're looking to improve warehouse productivity, but not all robots are the same. Some systems are inflexible and require large investments. Others limit performance by forcing pickers to follow slow robotic carts. Only one solution has the intelligence and flexibility to help achieve the highest levels of productivity. This is Locus Robotics, the solution that thinks outside the cart. Locus frees your workers from cumbersome carts, dramatically reducing wasted walking time. Locus uses multiple nimble robots that deliver greater capacity and productivity for your warehouse. Let's take a look at how Locus's multi-bot solution works. Locus's intelligent clustering algorithm continuously reviews orders from your WMS to maximize productivity and chooses orders to optimize work density. At induction, Locus directs the associate to use the optimal pick container. It then dynamically calculates the smartest path through the warehouse and proceeds to the first pick where your associate meets the bot. The bot displays the pick information on an easy-to-read display in the associate's preferred language. Your associate picks the item, scans it with the integrated scanner, and places it in the appropriate bin. Here is the real game changer. With Locus, your associates don't follow the robot. After the pick, the bot directs the associate to the next closest robot for more work, while the robot moves to its next task, often with a different associate. Your associates engage with multiple robots to complete more tasks faster. With Locus, you get true task interleaving, with associates able to easily switch between picking and put away. Locus continuously evaluates your order pool, associate proximity, and even congestion, resulting in shorter cycle times and greater productivity to better meet your SLAs. There is no need to log in, slow down, or carry other devices because the robots are shared resources that bring the work to your associates. You can use any combination of container types, including your existing containers or shipping cartons. The bots charge automatically and can work around the clock. And Locus is flexible automation, allowing you to easily scale seasonally. Just add bots. Locus's innovative industry-leading reports, dashboards, and analytics give your team the powerful, actionable information that they need in real time, helping you drive continuous improvement. Proven and reliable, Locus robots are working to pick a wide variety of products in warehouses around the world, where clients see 2 to 3 times greater productivity. and achieve measurable ROI in just a few months. Best of all, you can be up and running in as little as 4 weeks. And you're never on your own. Our customer success team is always available to help you meet your changing business needs. Choose the solution that takes your fulfillment to the next level. Choose Locus, the solution that thinks outside the cart.
Guys, I hope that answered a few of your questions on the actual design of our robots. When you start thinking about that next level and how we can drive the actual business proposition for your organization, it really comes down to it's a 2x jump. You know, I've been doing this for quite some time, and I've been hearing, oh, in some cases, if I have technology that can do a 15 or 20% jump in productivity, awesome. Well, if we can give you 2x, 3x, this is where we become truly impactful for your operation. When it comes to your facility, we can design into most warehouses. And one of the things that we pride ourselves on is not putting a round peg square hole. We look at virtually everything in your operation when it comes down to how you're doing the philosophies of driving pick productivity in your facility. If we don't think it's going to work, we'll tell you this is not a good product for you, because of, and you're going to hear this a few times from me, because I'm a RAS, a robot as a service type of operation. If you get into that 10th, 11th month and Jason Lum brings in the wrong solution for you, the bottom line is you're going to stop paying me anyway. So the net of it is that we need to drive that pick productivity up the entire way through. And when it comes down to return on investment, it really is the thought of, if I can't find, it's back to those the MHI issues. If I can't find labor in there, then if I can bring robots in, if I don't have to scale at peak, if I don't have to bring in extra temps, then all of a sudden robots are an easy way to help reduce the amount of tension when it comes down to human resource in a facility. And the amount of analytics, we thrive on the amount of information we want to give to, and this is data analytics that is actionable for your people. Again, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the thought is, I want to make sure that we have that the increased productivity from both the action of my robots, reduction of people that you have to hire. I don't want to replace anybody, but just getting people these days is not an easy task. And then the amount of data that we can flow through. And a lot of times I'm hearing robotics, it's a 7-8 month integration period. Us, it's 4 weeks. We can drive integration into 4 weeks by the way that we do it. We don't change the floor print, the design of your warehouse. So there's a lot of things we can bring to the table to make this thing in a quick, easy, fashionable way to ensure that the productivity in your warehouse. These are the things that we look at. And if you start thinking about the design of a true high volume pick process, and we truly look at how many items can we pick. If you're looking at a million picks a year, are you looking at 95,000 picks a day? This is where robotics can really thrive in your facility and help drive the flexibility of scale at peak to daily utilization. Same thing comes down to how are you breaking down your picks? Are they discrete? Are they singles? Are they batches? There's a lot of examples where if we do too many batches, it's not a good fit. But if we have a lot of discrete orders where you start looking at how I move my carts throughout the facility, and there's a lot of walking, this is where we really shine and thrive. Product type. We look at what kind of products are you moving. If you're moving canoes, maybe not a good fit. But if it's conveyable, this is where we thrive. We shine in e-coms, omni-channel, in 3PLs. I'm a huge 3PL fanatic because we can do multi-tenant. So there's a lot of things that we look at when it comes down to your pick profile, your missions, what your facility looks like. I like 5-foot aisles because I want bi-directional movement on robots. So there's a lot of things that we look at. So the other thought is, if you think about us, if you walk away with anything that from this discussion, we take the walk out of the pick. We replace cart-based picking in a multi-bot environment. And what we do is that average walker works or goes between 12 to 15 miles in a usual distribution world. And it's a lot of ineffective time for that associate. We in turn said, if I can make them 2 times more productive, it really becomes, hey, I can drive that pick productivity through the roof. And all of a sudden, if I can make Patrick Finn 2 times more productive, it might mean that I don't need to hire 2 times less Patricks in the world. Sorry, Patrick. So it really is one of those thoughts of, I need to drive that productivity in there by the type of product, volume, SKU design, everything that we look at, and we dive deep into your operation. A little bit about our UI. So our user interface is really pushed for a few things. One is, I want to make it easy for training. If I can drive and have your people know where their slot locations are, the quantity to pick, and even show them pictures, all of a sudden, instead of having to train a person, it takes 2-3 weeks with a device or trying to learn their area. My idea is, if I can keep my UI the simplest and easiest and keep it in a language set that is designed for, it could be Polish, it could be Chinese, it could be Japanese, it could be Spanish, whatever it might be, because we know the people that are walking up to my robot, because everyone has a Bluetooth low energy badge on them. We know who's picking, we know their pick rates. There's a lot of metrics we pull from. And when you go out there, and Pat really said this well, hands free. Let's keep this stuff hands free, and we can make your team's hands free with a robotic solution. And we scan when we verify via the scan. Tote design, don't care. We can go from your current philosophies on totes. We can go through tote arrays. Our thought right now is that if I can build a tote that maximizes the volume on a robot, then I can maximize his transportation routes inside the warehouse. As you saw in my video, I look at the orders, I analyze the orders, and if I know that J Slum is in area 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then I can send multiple robots and stack those robots with like type items in there. So there's a lot of things that we can drive in there as truly optimizing that warehouse and those warehouse needs. The other one is, it's back to data analytics. We want to show, and we want to have the availability anywhere. If I am reviewing my sites and I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, which I am in Atlanta, Georgia, but I've got a facility in Oakland, California. I've got another facility in Monroe, New Jersey, and I want to see how they're doing. I want to see their pick rates. I want to see robot movement. All this is available via my my cloud-based dashboards for allowed managements to make whatever decisions they need to make. We want to see pick rates. We want to find out how many orders are coming down from the WMS. We are real time into the WMS. So when I saw Kerber, I saw Manhattan, High Jump, Blue Yonders, if any of those WMSs start downloading and they give me my orders, I get to see how those orders are being picked throughout the day. So it becomes, how are my pickers doing? How are my orders doing? Am I meeting rates? Am I driving the right metrics throughout that facility? So we look at everything, and we want to make sure management sees everything when it comes down to those facilities. My portals will give real-time data analytics as of lines per hour, units per hour. I live my life, it seems like, on LPH and UPH, and I say these acronyms a little bit too flippantly because of the fact that I live this world. but we look at LPHs and UPHs to ensure that we're meeting expectations. This is something else that I love about by Locus. We actually pull that data for us also. We have we call it our happy meter, and we load it into our own internal databases that allow us to go into our own portal that to ensure we're meeting specifications of our customers. So there's some things out there. And I'm almost done, guys. The other one is we also do put away. I live and die by picking, because that's where I get the biggest bang for my dollar. But if I can interleave a put away function while I'm doing a pick process, it really works out well. Now, this is where we sit down and we look at a combination of working with the Barcodes team. We start working on pulling data. We sit down and we look at your data. We find out, is this a good fit between our two companies? Then we look at and we analyze that information, try to figure out and build our concept of operations. And our COO determines, what is my return on investment? How many robots will I need? How many pickers do I actually need to fulfill the tasks at hand? So when we pull all this information and we do a savings analysis for Barcodes customers, it's really kind of a fun thing, because then you guys get to see a true modeling program out there and how we go to market. There's a lot of things that go into this. And I know that I drove a lot of it. I drove a lot of data at you guys, but if you have any questions at the very end, please let me know, or we can sit down at your operations or another site meeting and discuss this in more detail. But that's my nickel's worth. Hopefully I didn't go too far. And I'm gonna bring this back over to Eric Hilton.
Thanks, Jason. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine, sir.
Great. Thank you. And thank you to the Barcodes team for inviting me on today. Thank you for everybody for joining. Happy to have everybody. And I completely agree. Robots are cool. They're very cool. In addition to robots, Zebra, as mentioned before, Zebra and Locus Robotics have a new partnership moving forward into kind of a combined integrated solution around both Locus Robotics and our head-mounted display, our HD 4000. So the HD 4000, what you see here, is a new device that was released in Q4 of 2019, and that's what's sitting up there on the glasses. Now, when we developed this and when we started working on it over 2 years ago, we knew we had to do it right. It couldn't just be the first one to market. It couldn't just be the easiest one to integrate. It really needed to be simple to integrate. It needed to be light so that an operator could wear it all day long, 8-hour shift. It needed to be hygienic so that multi-users could utilize this device, just like all of our devices. We're really developing our devices around that multi-shift, multi-user operation, and the ability to deliver in the enterprise, and the rugged ability that you need in that enterprise. So what we did, we specifically went with no batteries, no processor, no Wi-Fi on the device. And what that means is the controller is sitting in a mobile computer. And yes, it is tethered to a mobile computer that would be sitting either on your hip or on a back pocket. But the benefit that allows us is it gives us significantly stronger processing power, significantly longer battery life, because we can put an extended range battery, or we can put this onto a hot swappable device that has hot swappable batteries. So it really gives the operator the ability to keep as much weight off of their head and avoid eye strain, avoid head strain, and really utilize it more as an external monitor and as a camera input device, as opposed to a full Wi-Fi radio or Bluetooth radio, a processor, batteries, all of that on their head, which is heavy, and it can get a little hot when you're using it all day long. We typically see that at the end of a shift, anybody that's got one of those full, we'll call them Android on the head or processor on the head-mounted displays, typically at the end of that shift, or even 4 hours in, they need a break. versus what we designed around the HD4000. The intention was to really avoid that need and really give somebody the ability to utilize this device, but not for 8 hours in their normal workflow, and then be able to take it off and go about their normal day, not feel tired when they finished. If you move on to the next one for me, Jason. Thank you. Now, easy to integrate. That was the other piece of this, is how do we integrate this into back-end systems? How do we integrate this into a system, and how do we graphically show what we consider assisted reality? We're not augmenting reality. We're not, as you're staring at a box, we're not highlighting that box that that's the one you need to pick. We're giving a graphical representation of what you need to go pick, or what your operators need to grab, and what location that needs to come from. Now, that assisted reality, how do I build that? How do I integrate it? That's where Zebra's Fulfillment Edge middleware comes in, and it sits in between the device and the WMS. It sits on a server, and it just, all it's doing is translating information from my WMS and displaying that in a visual format to train my operator and to teach them, you know, the piecemeal information that they need to go to this location, go to this aisle, go to certain location, grab a certain box from this location, grab a quantity of 5. And what we've noticed is if we take as much information off of that screen as possible, and we piecemeal, give them just the next piece of information. Once they're in the right aisle, give them the right bay. Once they're in the right bay, give them the right slot and the right location, and then tell them just the number that they need to pick from that. And that's all confirmed via a tethered or Bluetooth ring scanner that's shown there. So the net of it is Zebra's HD4000 and Fulfillment Edge together, working through in conjunction with the WMS, working in conjunction with Locus Robotics, give the ability for a more productive and a shorter training time to get associates up to speed. What we've noticed in training time for this device is a picker that would normally take 4 or 5 days of picking to get up to speed and up to full productivity measurements. With an HD4000, that's actually cut down to less than an hour. In less than an hour, in each picking scenario, we're up to over 1,200 picks per hour. And that's a significant reduction in training time, which is a significant reduction in cost, especially as we see a more transient workflow in a lot of our warehouses over time. We're seeing the need for that that training time to be cut dramatically. And there's some additional specs on this slide. We'll send this out. It's available via the recording. I just wanted to provide it. If you have any more questions about the HD4000, don't hesitate to work with Barcodes. Get Zebra involved. We're happy to do demos. We're happy to do proof of concepts and show what this might look like in your environment. I did also leave an architecture slide in here as backup in case there's any questions specifically about how Fulfillment Edge works or where it sits in the architecture.
Eric and Jason, thanks for giving that description of both robotics and the HD4000 and Fulfillment Edge. Those were two of the most exciting things we saw at Modex, and I'm glad we were able to share that with the audience that joined us today. We can take some Q&A at this point. If anybody has questions, please type them into the Q&A box at the bottom of your Zoom screen. There's a couple of questions already for Jason. So Jason, the first question, are the robots purchased, financed, or leased?
It's actually a subscription. We call it a robot as a service. And when it comes down to making it edible for all of our customers, we wanted to make it easy. So when you start looking at a robot, it's $950 a month. And when you start breaking down the return on investment, the value, because that $950 includes virtually everything. We got a slight setup fee for for the facility, but it's utilizing the robot, the software. It's a real simple process.
Thanks, Jason. Another couple of questions for you. Are Locus robots available in a refrigeration or freezer environment?
So first of all, I wish we're not an IP64 rated device. So my units are open. It causes issues with the moisture, as we all know, in a refrigeration, even in a dock area. Docks are what, 40 degrees, but high moisture. Going in and out of a freezer, where we have not coated, we have not done anything to really go into a refrigeration or freezer environment.
So, Jason, another question for you. There have been concerns about co-location of robots and humans and the potential for collisions. Can you talk a little bit about how that's mitigated?
You're talking into my sweet spot, so thank you very much. The way that we work is that we are truly an AMR. Our thoughts on the design, because everyone knows that warehouses, they're I want to say the word ugly. Ugly in the term of they're busy. Pallets, pieces of wood, dirt, debris, whatever. We've designed and developed our robots in with the ability to see in the reality, to see what's in front of them. So if people jump in their way, if things are on the floor, my robots will get around them. Ladders and whatnot. It's really a ballet when you start looking at how my robots get around things. One of the things that we talked about, Patrick, is a follow-up with information. There's a great video that I've actually have around 64 people working with about 118 bots, picking about 95,000 units a day. And it's a beautiful ballet. I will include that within the information that you send out, Patrick, later for the rest of everyone here.
Terrific. And there have been a couple of requests too, Jason, for a link to the video you showed today. So we will be sending a link to this webinar to all attendees. So you'll have the video included in that full webinar, and we'll also find a way to get you the link to just that video that Jason showed today as well.
Yeah, I'll get all the links for you. The one thing that I'm going to throw out there also is that Forrester, great little consulting company, they came back up and they did a total economic impact of robotics in the warehouse, in the supply chain. And I'll be more than happy to share that also about how we come to our terms of building a return on investment, or even the scalability for high peak picks.
Another question for you, Jason. Can Locus be integrated with a pick-to-light system?
Well, I like to say the word yes, but historically, a pick-to-light system is already pretty modularized, if that's even a word. It's already set in a very tight conveyored system. We don't work with a pick-to-light system because of the fact that it's already kind of optimized for a picking environment. I will say what I love about the Locus solution is that we're not eating up any type of floor space. So in pick-to-light, in carousels, in other worlds, you might be eating 20, 30, 40,000 square feet of space. We don't. We want more pick fronts. Actually, we want you to utilize those spaces even more efficiently in bringing us in. That's one reason why we can fall into a 4-week installation time frame.
Great. One final question for Jake on the type of environment. There is somebody who's interested in deploying these in a fresh meat manufacturing environment. Is that an environment that is conducive to this type of solution?
Historically, fresh meat is cold storage, not freezer, but cold storage. We would have to see the environment because of the way we pick and process, depending on the size of meat, depending on a lot of different things. We would definitely have to look at that environment very closely to determine if it's a fit or not. My overall goal is always 2x. Sometimes I get 3, sometimes I get slightly shy of 2. But if I can't get 2x in an environment, even in meat, then I don't see it as truly a success.
All right, phenomenal. I think that is the end of the Q&A section. There's no more unanswered questions, I don't believe. So that concludes our webinar today. Thanks for joining. If you have additional questions or want to follow up with us to discuss any of the solutions that we talked about today in more detail, please reach out to me directly. My contact information is on the screen now. We will forward a copy of this webinar to you to share with colleagues. And we all look forward to seeing you at ProMat in 2021 and back at Modex in 2022. Thanks again for joining today.